phase to come out. Mindfreak, Dev, what do you reckon we might be seeing on the ban phase from the Mindfreak, since they are on defense?
Well, it's funny, Mindfreak playing quite recently in several of their matches, they do like to go for out there bans. They're going to ban Jackal, which isn't that much that out there. But when Mindfreak played this against, I believe it was Acme, they did ban out Buck. And we've seen that vertical play, especially on what is now the most meta bomb site of Hookah, really can be powerful. So with Buck still in there, still has a lot of ability to enable that vertical play.
And just talking about the some of the out there bans, Thatcher would be the one to be banned out by Fnatic, which to me is a little bit of a odd one, just due to we don't really see that frequent of a ban.
Yeah, I mean, mainly on coastline. That's the real question mark for me. Thatcher is an operator that you want to ban when you want to play maybe a lot of mute. You don't want to have to actively ban it trick on a map like, you know, Clubhouse, ones where the hard breach is really important, but hard breach just doesn't matter as much on coastline as other utility.
Well, mine is the maybe penthouse and
yeah,
theater.
But even then, a lot of the time these days, we don't see those kind of old style VIP takes that we used to with the hard breach.
Yeah, true.
So on for the defense, it's Echo and Mira off the board, operators that we very commonly see banned. Mira particularly useful on coastline. A lot of people like that, especially when defending that penthouse site you mentioned.
Yeah.
So overall, not a crazy ban phase. Nothing really left the field.
Thatcher maybe.
Thatcher's a bit weird, but we'll see. If there's a point where we think, oh, this attack would have just worked so much better if there was a Thatcher, then I'll be intrigued. But for now, the Thatcher ban's a bit weird to me.
Yeah, well, we'll find that out how it's gonna work out. But for now, kitchen and service entrance to be chosen for the first defense, and that's somewhat of a throwback to what we'd probably call somewhat of a first half of this season's meta for the ANZ Pro League, because we did see for a brief amount of time that a fair few teams will be picking the ground floor sites first rather than the hooker and the pool. Yeah, it's
weird that Hookah definitely did come into favor, and most recently I have seen Mindfreak start on that, so I feel like this is just to try something a little bit different. Here's a deployable shield. Something we didn't really talk about recently was the fact that we do have Ember Rise now updated in the game. We do not have access to Amaru and Goyo, the new operators that come with Ember Rise. That's not playable in Pro League just yet, but changes such as Dokkaebi and Glaz getting frag grenades, changes to the deployable shields, these are all in the game and here to stay within this Pro League. So I'm certainly keen to see how, in particular, the deployable shields will get utilized now that they're in the hands of these pro players.
Yeah, they certainly would allow a little bit more of that flexibility. And also worth mentioning is that ANZ is the first one to actually get to play on the newer build, on the Operation Heat the Heat.
Yeah,
and certainly I do think that both teams will be bringing this.
The other regions of Pro League, North America, Latin America, and Europe are not playing their Pro League this week. They start later, but APAC kicks it off this week. So yes, we will be the first to witness Ember Rise at a pro level play. It is for Fnatic, a slow addressing of the situation. Rizraz does disable that kind of run out from the main door with a Nomad charge.
What is interesting to me is Fnatic bringing the dual flank watch operators. You have the Gridlock, you have the Nomad as well, which is, to me, is not that usual from Fnatic. Usually we would see just a singular one for the flank watch, say either Nomad or Gridlock, and then you have plentiful of operators to go for very aggressive plays. But this time that's not the case.
They definitely don't want to get flanked. And what we saw at the Six Masters was Specker was very commonly on this flank watch role, where his role was just don't let anyone come from here. And I would be surprised to see Fnatic bring two flank watch operators and have Specker on that role. So maybe they've gained some confidence with Specker and they're happy to use him in a little bit more of a loose role where he has to take some initiative.
Well, like I mentioned before, Specker did get put on the entry frag. And as well as that, he used to be the infamous Zephyr player, the peak god of the ANZ. So this could be quite interesting to see. And it seems that already Idbistal is the first one to take some damage.
It's a top floor take for a lot of Fnatic, but Specker is the one to hold this long angle towards lobby. Magnet, though, is the first one to find a peak. Shaq on the objective goes down. That's a smoke. Not an operator you want to lose early. Oh, long angles being contested by this Maestro of Kings all the way from in the lobby as well. A lot of great positioning from the Mindfreak players, but Specker's taking pretty low. He doesn't want to contest this too heavily. A smoke grenade is going to force Kings back a bit, but he's now aware of that position.
And now with King's position being completely revealed, the plan of the diffuser will be happening. Fnatic are already on site, but will be denied straight away, and there's the trade as well.
Such a close denial of that diffuser. Now Cutie's trying to make a flank upstairs. It's just 2 defenders left. Can Cutie find this plant spot? He's going to get it! And there's no one on the VIP balcony to watch out, but it's Cutie against the world in a 1 versus 3. He has diffuser control. Going to plant a goo mine right on top. He speeds the player, but they go and make a run for it. He just missed that player jump in through the window, and that could be to his demise. He still has an impact grenade left, but he doesn't have enough information, doesn't know where that plant's going down safely, and it gets down. It's just Cutie now in a 1 versus 3 on the retake.
On the retake as well, and it seems that Cutie might be going for a very daring run out, or at the very least go for the sound bait, but as it stands, it's all the odds against him. 1v3 situation. He does have the full set of health, so he might be able to dish out some damage before he will be going down.
Rizraz holding this flank. It's a patient game, but Magnet finds that kill. A good first round for Fnatic. A little bit too close for comfort, but Cutie just unable to pull off the clutch.
Look at that double hold as well. Two of the players holding the very similar angle, but I really like how Fnatic executed it. They had a very explosive entry. Once they managed to poke around and see where they can essentially go for that push, they just full-on collapsed onto it, and prior to it managed to even get rid of some of the roamers as well. So all in all, it's a very good coordinated start for Fnatic, and I definitely like how they approach this.
It was a bit dangerous to rotate that player off the VIP balcony, which was what allowed Cutie to go above and shoot the player trying to plant through those holes. But Fnatic dealt with it fairly well. They grabbed the diffuser and they quickly sprinted away into a safer position. Another thing I liked from Fnatic was their drone. Earlier we saw a drone placed at the top of the white stairs, and that in the end was what enabled Fnatic to have the information on Cutie's flank position. That was why we saw 2 players watching those white stairs, because Fnatic had that information on the flank.
The only thing, though, is the fact that Cutie could have actually held the very same spot if he was just a little bit more steady. He could have held that window, because the person who actually picked up the diffuser was the person who actually vaulted over that window. So if that entry was completely denied, then I reckon the round could have actually went into the hands of Mindfreak, really.
Fnatic didn't really have a hard counter to Cutie, and if he was more actively watching that window, instead of, I think it was a bit trying to complicate things a bit, trying to put a goo mine down on the diffuser, trying to do too many things at once. If he just watched that window, killed anyone that tried to jump in and get diffuser, he could have clutched that round.
But could have, should have, didn't really.
Yeah.
It is a round 2 though, so Mindfreak are switching things around a little bit, bringing in a castle this time just to have a little bit of maybe more of that breathing room really before all the mayhem starts.
I like this castle strat as well.
Yeah.
On the bathroom, but not towards lobby, towards service.
And we have kitchen also locked off as well from the main hallway.
And it looks like Fnatic will begin to go upstairs, take this control. Cutie's been a serious player for Mindfreak recently. He's really stepped it up on this roam especially. He's very happy to play this Legion. You can gain so much information with those goo mines. He spots out Magnet's drone, but doesn't take it down. A really good job from Magnet to keep his drone alive. That drone economy is so important for the information gathering of Fnatic.
Yeah, that is correct. And what is interesting to me is Fnatic usually, you would see them in the first half of these of Season 10, that they would go extra aggressive. They would try to just bum rush every operator. But it seems that it's just slightly slowing down, and Cutie managing to take out Specca is definitely a good start, but as it seems, he's currently in a very expendable position.
Yeah, Cutie's likely going to die, but the fact that Specca lost that fight, a bit of a worry for Fnatic. That said, they will relocate the Legion, and Virtue wants to take this fight. He knows his teammate was recently taken down, though, and Cutie's running a rampage upstairs. Finally traded out, but can Virtue even capitalize and kill this Jaeger? You have so much ammo on your primary Virtue, but he uses the super shorty anyway. A couple of little mistakes from Fnatic, and Mindfreak are now in the driver's seat for this round.
Okay, you know what I said about the Fnatic being slightly slower than before? I'll take it all back. I prefer the more aggressive ones. Because that just cost them 2 players.
Yeah, individual players not managing to land their shots, but Virtue gets that one. It's now a 2 versus 3, a much more sagittal position, and there are 2 players left for Fnatic, including some smoke utility on Virtue. I think this is totally doable still.
Yeah, it's definitely doable. Only a single man difference between the two teams. But what I do want to point out is that Mindfreak currently still, all three of them on full health, and they have very flexible positions. Whereas on the side of Fnatic, both of them are tagged up, so any firefight would still be more favorable to the defense, really.
If Fnatic are allowed to get these picks, this could be doable.
Oh boy.
But there's a lot of utility from Mindfreak to deny that plant, even if they get it down in the smoke. And that pick from Kings is going to make it so much more difficult for Virtue now. The last player, he does take that 1 versus 1, though. Needs to find 2 more. Don't peek this. Mindfreak can't possibly peek this. He's going to throw out a smoke grenade. Wants to go for this plant, but it's such a dangerous position. He could still make it happen, but he's baiting out Mindfreak. They're not taking it yet. Starts to get this diffuser down. It's a 7-second plant time. They're going to bait him out a little bit. SC4 could spell the end for Virtue. And there you go. A nice safe play for Shaq. Gets him the round. And Mindfreak tie us up 1-1.
I certainly like this newer, refreshed Mindfreak. They certainly do seem to just know when to pace themselves, when to go extra aggressive. I love the fact that Cutie, knowing that his position was completely expendable, he was very expendable at that round, at that point. He just went it out all in. He still managed to, yes, he got treated out, but he did manage to score himself, what, 2 kills at the very least, and there was already a Jaeger on the run out as well. So all that chaos in a very controlled manner from Mindfreak, I'm loving this. So, and this could actually spell doom for Fnatic as well.
A lot of 1v1s were being taken, and they went the way of Mindfreak.
Yeah.
Fnatic, they do have a playstyle which is fairly loose. They have individual players ready to make plays. They work together on the chemistry, but they don't always have a player within touching distance to refrag. And that was how Specker died. There was no one nearby to refrag. He was trying to push up an avenue, and Fnatic usually have a lot of confidence in their 1v1 gunfights, but in that case, it worked against them. And in fact, so far, Mindfreak have been feeling pretty good. Mainly Cutie has been feeling pretty hot in the 1v1s. If I'm Fnatic right now, I think you have to take it a step back, not try to play so loosely, play a bit more for that refrag, and work together to ensure that you're not going to give Mindfreak these 1v1 scenarios.
Yeah, I'll definitely have to agree with you on this one, Dev. Also, what is interesting to me is the fact that Mindfreak bringing in a somewhat similar lineup of the operators, but all of the players that are currently on those operators are switching up around. So you have Shaq now taking the controls of the castle. Kings is now on a bit of a maestro. Style just stays, and Style and Cutie for that matter actually, stays on their respective operators, and Jack just brings up something extra.
Yeah, a little bit of a rotation through some of those operators from Mindfreak. Always nice to have flexibility.
Yeah, I found it also fitting the fact that both of the teams picked IQ and Valk initially and then swapped off them.
Yeah,
so usually those two operators that usually try to be hidden, those are the ones that were used for the 6th pick for the bait.
Clever stuff.
I like this angle from Itby Style, because if Fnatic will go extra slow on the peak, he could have actually pick up at least a single kill from there.
This isn't an angle I've seen before utilized. It's a bit awkward to try to get that shot. It relies on the attacker standing in the correct place on that door, but could work out and be a free pick for Style.
I wonder if that peak was actually spotted before, but the stun grenades to come out. Potentially Style could pick out, but already a single person to come out, and Rizraz is the one to kick things off.
This could be a great nade as well for Magnet. Perfectly placed, and Cutie say goodnight. Only 3 left for Mindfreak now, and this control of the hookah side is looking really great. Magnet's going to use his second nade to take out that Evil Eye. I believe that landed perfectly, so a lot of information now denied on the bomb site. Magnet's getting very aggressive as well, and he takes out the player on site with a skeleton key. A great play initially from Magnet to take control of site, only half the round down, and Mindfreak have to retake.
And a fantastic shot from Shaq. He does know that there's one person at the window as well. He's just about to get pressured from there, and the plant won't be actually denied. So now the time will be working against Mindfreak, and right now at a 2-man deficit, things might get really heated up really out here.
Mindfreak in the position to retake. Fnatic did such a good job to work quickly off of those peaks. Itby Style finds 1, but he's the last man alive, and Specker to find the last 2 kills. A great round for Fnatic, capitalizing perfectly on those early picks that they found, taking control of site, not giving it back.
I'm loving these trades of rounds, really, because first you see Fnatic flex some of their prowess, next you see Mindfreak just bust out some of the very controlled aggression. Now it's back to Fnatic leading the charge, and this time they showed once again a very explosive. The moment they got even a small bite of that area that they could have solidified from, they just went for it. They chomped the rest of the cake for themselves and just left only maybe a spoon for Mindfreak, really.
Yeah, Fnatic being able to dislodge some of those key players, it was a little bit too easy, really, for Magnet to simply walk up inside of pool and shoot the player who was playing at Cocktail. That's just something that you don't really see happen usually because the defenders play aggressive to deny that kind of aggressive positioning from the attackers.
I think here the reason why that happened really is because Style was a little bit banking a little bit too much on the fact that he could have gotten that initial frag from that doorway. Because if he would have gotten that kill, if he wouldn't been able to either take out Magnet or the Hibana of Fnatic, they would have been stalled out. They would have been forced to, hey, we need to go now on a roam clear, we need to clear out the ground floor, make sure nobody plays from below, and then work from there. But it seems that they managed to avoid it magically, and that's an interesting, well, somewhat interesting. I didn't think of that camera angle, really.
I like that Fnatic made the roamers from Mindfreak irrelevant in that round. They didn't try to hunt the roamers, they just made them irrelevant. They had no impact on the plant whatsoever, no impact on the site control.
Well, really, the moment the roamers were trying to rotate back around, they were just shot down by the grenades from Magnet. And though I have to add, those grenades were very well timed as well.
We see this position at the 90 hallway from Kings. With the new deployable shields, those little window slits, this position is even more powerful than before.
Even though there is no more pixel peek, though, you still those slits pretty much do that exact thing.
It's slightly different. Instead of having a pixel peek, which is very hard for the attackers to shoot, you have this angle where you can see all the way out, and that's why Mindfreak have opened up the walls in Hookah as well to give Kings that visibility all the way into Hookah, which is where you would typically see an attacker try to cut off rotations. Here's a great idea from Magnet, though, using this vertical play to try to dislodge players in VIP, but so far he doesn't find anything.
Now, like what I'm seeing from Fnatic is the fact that they, once again, what they've done in the first round, they poking around currently, just trying to find an entry point for themselves, because all of the Fnatic players, if you look around, all of them are separate from each other. They're just trying to find a good point, play off it, maybe play off a frag, and then just kickstart their whole advancement.
If I am going to be critical, though, of Fnatic, they didn't really get the information on where that player was in VIP. That said, they're working the site and do take out the first pick. That is Ippy Style taken out from Rizraz on the window. Still Cutie inside of Guitar.
Oh.
Manages to dodge just enough bullets. Virtue looking to peek, and Spec is the one who gets inside and takes him down. Good first two picks from Fnatic. This is how everything fell for Mindfreak in the previous round.
Exactly, and the OG Dark-Sided duo seems to be working out just quite well. For those who don't really, for those that don't know, Virtue and Specca used to play on an old Dark-Sided roster before they became Mindfreak as well.
There is an avenue into the bomb site Fnatic could utilize through that rotation hole Mindfreak created. Virtue with this position, especially with the smoke grenades and the crossfire with Rizraz on the window, there's so much that they can do to make this happen. It looks like Fnatic will try to plant at the window, I believe, that they're repelling up a second player. Might try to get inside. The Hibana Lusty does get inside now. Shaq has only one gas canister left, and I don't think that's enough to deny this plant from Lusty. There's a Fears charges as well, will make this even more difficult. Lusty is completely unhindered. Shaq just not able to have an impact here. Jack Daddy does go for a run out, I believe, but so far it's just not enough. He finds that one pick, but he had a C4. This denial needed to come out way earlier.
Yeah, and as it stands, Kings will be the one to try to go for the push as well. I think the VIP is just about clear, but no, it is not. It is Spec and Virtue still kicking things off, and Lusty will be the one to finish off on Jack Daddy. Fnatic are now in a 2-round lead ahead of the other team, aka Mindfreak.
It was a good round for Fnatic, again finding the two picks early. Nice, slow, patient working different angles, droning positions out, and managing to find entries as well and cutting off those crossfires. The thing that was really a problem for me with Mindfreak, they had Jack Dad downstairs. He had a C4, but he didn't deny the plant. I don't know whether that was lack of information on Mindfreak's part, or whether it was just a poor positioning from Jack Daddy, but something needed to happen there.
Yeah, and I'm starting to see a pattern here as well, Dev. It's the fact that whenever Mindfreak were able to shut down Fnatic's poking, essentially take out at least one of those players, you would see Fnatic start gathering up to that very point where one of their players died, and try to storm through there. And by the time they already regroup and rendezvous all together, that's when Mindfreak already set up all the trap. That's when they managed to take that second round for themselves. So as it stands, right now Mindfreak needs to continue that control aggression, keep continuously essentially counter-poking back at Fnatic to see which firefight can they take safely.
Yeah, the roam game was definitely what helped Mindfreak in the round that they did win, which was defending this bomb site kitchen. But when it was Hookah, Fnatic just didn't allow the roam to have an effect on the side. And it was kind of the same here for Penthouse, but I'm not sure exactly what Fnatic did, if they did anything to prevent the vertical roam. Because JackDad just didn't deny that plan, as I mentioned earlier, and that really should have spelled death for Fnatic, or at least kept Mindfreak in the round a bit longer. Nonetheless, we do return to kitchen service, so I wouldn't count Mindfreak out. I think they could. Oh, it'd be style.
That's
Man,
unfortunate.
was that a run out? Mindfreak trying to play extra aggressive?
I think
like
it was a spawn peek maybe even, just from the Hookah.
Yeah, it looked like Hookah or the double window. Yeah, it's Hookah balcony. So Fnatic are not going to be caught off guard by that. They're just 2 on the ball today.
Yeah.
Ippystar wants to go for that as aggressive plays, but just not working yet.
It seemed to have that they kind of gunning for it, even though it only worked once, but they're still trying to force it. It seems like Cutie does manage to, though, pick up a kill into Rizraz, and that is one of the flank watch ops off the board. So that's a good start for potential Mindfreak comeback, really. And you even pointed out that Cutie was the one that was on a roll as well for the team.
Yeah. I think Cutie is the highlight player for me at the moment for Mindfreak, but he does really well when he's on the roam and when people try to push him on the roam.
Yeah, under pressure.
Yeah, but Fnatic are a team that reads into that and stops giving the roamers an opportunity to affect the round. If Cutie is allowed to run amok and people keep pushing him, he could have an impact, but...
And before Cutie does manage to stack like even more of those goo mines and just force Magnet the moment he tries to go for the push, just take a chunky stack of the goo mine damage.
Good drone from Magnet, spots out the Legion. Is he going to take this fight? Really? That's not what usually works against Cutie, but it does this time around. A good read from Magnet. It was a dangerous play because there was no one near him to refrag if he had lost that fight. He didn't know if there were goo mines that perhaps Cutie had placed in his path, but I guess you can't knock it if it works. A good job from Magnet to find that pick, and that numbers advantage will certainly help Fnatic going into the remaining minute of the round.
Certainly will, but the last time we saw Mindfreak, even being at a man disadvantage, they still were able to play time pretty well. So if that could be the case, then potentially we might be seeing Mindfreak win another round for themselves once again. But otherwise, Fnatic might be also grabbing this because all of them on full health and they still have plentiful amount of the utility to take down all of the defensive reinforcements.
30 seconds. Still not fully certain about this top floor control. We saw Mindfreak did have holes above. These goo mines will make things a bit difficult for Magnet. Speckett ready to entry, and he'll have to do so with 20 seconds left. Fnatic can't afford to play it safe. Magnet from above does find a kill, but the plan is denied by Shaq with a C4. Someone's going to have to jump on that diffuser. Speckett will try to make a cross, but he gets taken out as well by Shaq, holding it down with the MPX. It's a 2 versus 2, and suddenly things are swinging towards Mindfreak, but there's no denial here. Mindfreak have to kill Virtue if they want to take this. It's a Shaq versus Magnet. Can he deny the plans? He does kill Magnet, and there is the cannon defuse coming from Shaq. A clutch, all on the back of the Valkyrie, and a great round from Mindfreak to get themselves in the game.
That would definitely up the morale as well. That was a fantastic play from Shaq. And even during when Mindfreak were memeing during the Ubisoft experience, he was the star player as well from back then. So him being able to flex some of the plays is certainly a good thing. Albeit that it was a bit of a risky one. 2v1 and initially challenging Virtue on a firefight and then to try to challenge Buck, who was just about to get off the plant as well, was probably too close to the outside of the comfort zone.
And it was the thing that was missing from the last round that Fnatic won with their attack onto Penthouse. Mindfreak didn't have that piece of utility needed to deny that plant, that initial plant.
Yeah.
That initial plant was what was so crucial there. And the fact that the Valkyrie landed that C4, denied the initial plant, it meant that Fnatic had to go, okay, Who needs to plant now? We need to rotate everything around. Specker decided that it was him who had to step up, and he was in such an awkward position to try to vault over the counter, get to that diffuser. He was taken down like that, and then suddenly we're at even numbers. And that, when Fnatic, when you're at even numbers, 2 versus 2, but one of the attackers is planting, the defenders actually have the numbers advantage. It's 2 versus 1. And that was really what helped, it was Shaq to get that kill onto Virtue, because Virtue had just come off another gunfight. Good job from Shaq and Mindfreak. I can't put it all onto them. Like, Fnatic played quite well as well.
Yeah.
But I'm glad that we're seeing a bit of a fight here. I'm glad that this isn't just the Fnatic show.
Oh yeah, I'm certainly happy to see that. And even if it was, let's say, current scoreline being 4-1, I still would say that this is an enjoyable watch. Yes, Mindfreak are kind of getting blasted occasionally, but some of the ideas, some of the plays that we're seeing, it's still pretty enjoyable, at least to me.
Yeah, Fnatic is definitely a bit more tight-knit, what we're seeing them do. And I think individually, Fnatic's players have certainly the level of knowledge and that expectation that really comes with being at the top level. But they still don't always have every base covered, and that's what Mindfreak are capitalizing upon. When we see these lack of refrags from Fnatic, when we see these positions where Mindfreak denies the plant, Fnatic have to make a rotate, that's when Fnatic are stepping up. The question for me is, when are we going to see itBestyle get into the game? Because he's Mindfreak's key fragger, and he just hasn't had an impact so far this game. When are we going to see him wake up? And when that happens,
I think
what are we going to see? Is this actually potential for Mindfreak to swing the round?
This could be very much, and I do think that for Fnatic, they've initially identified Style as he's that main issue for them. Because the moment he's still alive, he'll be the one to run rampant, he will be the one to go for late flanks, he will be the one to shut down any push. And they did a fantastic job so far to shut him down, forcing Mindfreak to kind of utilize Shaq, utilize Cutie to go for those big brain plays, and even occasionally Kings and Jack Daddy. But yeah, if itBestyle would be left alive and would be allowed for those plays, then it's definitely going to be a match swung into the favor of Mindfreak, I think.
For now, this vertical play being spearheaded by Magna on the buck. He hasn't found anything, but he has checked certain positions. That main position on Cocktail, he minced up the floor, used some grenades. He knows no one's there right now. Someone can always rotate there for Mindfreak.
That pre-fire actually nearly caught Kings as well into the dome piece as well, but thankfully the reinforcements are there to keep him safe. So as it stands, Fnatic once again doing what they do best, is just poking at the location. See where they can go for it and where they can push. And itBestyle, once again, will be the first person to try to contest the angles. And he might be finding himself in a very expendable position very quickly.
But he has kept himself alive this long, which is very important. He was picked off early in the previous rounds, and now he's at least staying alive a little bit longer. Not allowing Fnatic to get that man advantage that they've had so many times before. Fnatic are the ones who have to make a move here. Lusty's going to try the plant. Is there denial? No C4 successful. Rizraz trying to hold. This plant surely won't happen successfully. Where is the denial, Mindfreak? And Fnatic in a 5 versus 5 get the diffuser planted.
What is Riz doing? Completely fumbles around on the window, but as it stands, the C4 to come out just can't get things going.
What are you doing?
What, Kings? No! Kings! No, there it is. There's a Spec already cleaning things up, and just like that, it just went 180 for Mindfreak. Virtue cleaning up on Jack Daddy, and it is all up to Cutie, and just wow. I'm lost, baffled, and confused as to what is happening. There's the quick kill, maybe to quickly stat pad, maybe a couple of frags, but as it stands, Cutie isn't just being sandwiched, and Fnatic will be grabbing yet another win for themselves. The first half to go into 4-2 in Fnatic's favor, and just yeah, I'm lost. I'm lost for that round because Mindfreak, it was their side to retake. They had all the utility, like you said. You did sound quite annoyed at that fact as well, because they had the C4, they had the smoke grenades, but none of it was there. None of it was present, and even the fact that Specca was contesting that hookah balcony for a long while, nobody done at all apart from King's TKing.
So it's a bit difficult to make a judgment on what was happening in the Mindfreak camp because we can't hear the comms, and we're not actually on the team in the server with them, so we can't see all the utility that they have and everything. But I'm just not sure what happened with that diffuser plant for Fnatic. From Mindfreak's perspective, I saw one C4 go out, detonated, nowhere near the planter, and that was all I saw in an attempt at denying the plant from Mindfreak. Obviously, it would be very difficult for them to rush someone out there and deny it with a weapon, but that's why you have utility. That's why you have C4s, gas babes.
Yeah, it's for safer play.
Did they run out of that utility?
I don't think they did.
Did they not have information that the plant was going down, or was there just some kind of terrible miscommunication and mix-up that meant that that utility didn't get delivered?
Well, okay, if you look at it from their point of view, during the plant, when the plant went down, 3 players on Hooker were on the far right side from the doorway.
I have
None of them crossed it.
Yeah, I have a feeling that what was happening for Mindfreak was some serious communication issues, because near the end of that round, we obviously saw the team kill.
Yeah.
We saw it was Kings. He threw a C4 outside onto the hookah balcony. The idea, I'm assuming, with that is you want to destroy the Nomad charges above the doorway. So you throw a C4 out, detonate it, and then you can now run outside onto Specker. And clearly, Mindfreak wanted to run outside on Specker. I think what it was like is a couple people like, okay, we need to run out on Specker. Oh no, but there's Nomad above the door, and Kings throws out a C4, but then they're trying to communicate that, and there's a bit of a miscommunication. Kings detonates the C4, team kills. That was just so messy. And I think that is probably what was happening earlier in the round when Mindfreak failed to deny the plant as well. Messy comms, not being on the same page, communication breakdowns. I think that's what spelled death for Mindfreak at the end of that half.
It could be that, plus just the sheer fact that Specker was just applying so much pressure from the hookah window and the doorway as well.
He was just being so passive, though. He was just sitting there waiting for someone to cross his crosshairs.
Early on at the round, he went for a fair few pre-fires, opened up so many angles as well from just the window and the doorway. And I think it was also the fact that, yeah, Mindfreak just got cornered at that point. They weren't really too coordinated, or didn't coordinate it quickly enough to go for that peak as well. But either way.
All said and done, 4-2 isn't bad for either of these teams. It's pretty standard, I would say. 4-2 on attack, on coastline. I can be Mindfreak coming away happy with that. And now they're going to get the initial pick here on the first round, attacking onto the kitchen. So it's a good start for them. Half the round gone, and they've got this early man advantage. 5 versus 3 now. 2 strong picks. Okay, here's a bit of a reply, but still, I wouldn't count Mindfreak out yet. They have Specker roaming to deal with. If he can have more of an impact here.
Well, they already made a pretty good amount of damage. So Specker finally out by Cutie. Virtue and Rizraz already out. So those are the big playmakers right now off the board of Fnatic. And just like that, just Mindfreak picking off. It's just a shooting range at this point.
Fnatic want to play aggressive. They know they're in a deficit and they need to pull something out of the hat. But holding that passive angle isn't going to work, and all of Fnatic falls apart.
Nearly a flawless as well.
Yeah, near flawless round for Mindfreak. A lot of 1v1s and desperate plays from Fnatic. So nice and simple round, but it gets us one step closer to even.
Could this be the fact that the first case, well, one of the first few cases when we will be seeing on a high level of ANZ Pro League that on coastline it will be the attacking side that will be much more prevalent? Because so far, what we saw, first half, Fnatic on attack, plowing through Mindfreak's defenses. Now we're seeing first round of the second half with Mindfreak attacking, plow through Fnatic defenses.
Being a smaller map, I feel like coastline is definitely one of the ones less favored towards the attackers.
Well, nowadays, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, if you look at a map like Bank, Villa, these are the ones where I feel like, man, the stats often prove us wrong when we say things like this, but it's more difficult to attack, I feel, those bigger maps. Coastline's one where I actually think the attackers have a bit more comfort. You can see in Fnatic's attacks, they didn't even have to address the roamers all the time in order to take sites like Hookah. But Fnatic are a team on the defense now after losing that one. I don't count them out to bounce back. They're a team who are often good at making quick adaptations, fixing issues, even when that's just an individual player. And that round where they got pretty much stomped by Mindfreak's attack, you got to treat that as a throwaway round. It's like, all right, guys, look, we tried some stuff. It didn't work. Let's try stuff again.
Well, here's the thing as well. It was initially off the back of Jack Daddy as well, who did make those 2 entry kills as well on IQ. And those were from what I
thought Kings got the first one, and then Jack got the second one. There's a bit of a split.
Well, yeah, it was a split, between Kings and Jack Dad. Those 2 were pretty much crucial for the success of the initial push from Mindfreak. And what I'm thinking is can Mindfreak keep up this kind of unpredictable aggressiveness? Because if they pull off the same push as well, Fnatic will be able to shut them down.
Yeah, Mindfreak got so many picks just by holding down right-click, looking down an angle and waiting for Fnatic to walk into their crosshairs. Fnatic do have that roamer upstairs of Specker. He was the only one to find a kill last round. In fact, so far it's a very similar defensive setup from Fnatic as to what we saw from Mindfreak. Just a couple of players on site. Fairly heavy roam presence, especially around Theater upstairs, which is Specker.
Yeah, probably I will be keeping my eyes out on Specker because he technically, to the core roster, he's the newest introduction. But like on Fnatic actual team, he was there for a while, so he was brewing up on all of the strats, all of the how does the team play all together.
He did get a couple of games in the Pro League in the first half of the season.
Yeah, here and there, but like
he was by no means settled into the team then.
Yeah.
He really didn't look like he fit with the team at that point. But after 6 Masters, I definitely think this Fnatic roster change is looking very good. A double run out from Mindfreak for Fnatic, actually. So they send 2 people out the front door. The first one to soak up that Nomad charge, and the second one actually to find the kill. A really clever play from Fnatic gets them that 1 kill onto Cutie.
Okay, so that is Nomad off. So now you need to have an active flank watch now instead of Nomad, which is probably going to be delegated to Shaq, who's already on the 2nd floor. So he will be on a lookout for potentially Specker, as well as Jackdad pushing up on the top floor. But if they're able to collapse well and secure the top floor, make sure that nobody's roams, nobody's going to be there to catch them off guard when the actual crucial time comes in, they'll be able to execute it pretty well. But it seems that Fnatic are actually all spread out pretty well and holding a very tight angle up and around the reception area.
A lot of good presence in lobby from Fnatic so far. It can be very difficult for attackers to take into the bomb site while that lobby control is in the hands of the defenders. Ippy Styles going to try to pressure this as much as he can. It looks like the plant will come out into kitchen window. A jump straight on inside, and Kings as well to find that entry pick. It'll have to be a retake for Fnatic. Perfect read from Kings, but there's still more to watch on this flank. He's doing everything that he needs to with the M762 and an absolute blitz of a round for Mindfreak as they take everything away from Fnatic in the final 30 seconds.
Holy moly! Kings just went full on just beast mode during that round. Just all of those flicks and that read as well. That was
it could have been a call out. I wish we could see all the drones, but we can't. That could have been a call out from one of his teammates.
Well, either way, this was like just right. Like look at this. The timing was pretty much on point.
Yeah, it was a great job from Kings. That flank watch was so essential. And it shows that Mindfreak are getting a bit of a read into Fnatic here. Yeah. Fnatic are playing quite loosely that roam game, and they're always playing multiple people together on their defense, ready to go for refrags, going for double flanks. We saw that as well with the run out on the lobby side. They sent 2 people outside. One person to soak up the Nomad charge, the second one straight in after. That is classic Fnatic. Yeah. On the defense, they love putting players together. They love going for double flanks, retakes, always within touching distance of each other.
Yeah, because that just allows them to go for the refrags as well. That's pretty much textbook Siege at this point.
Yeah, and the specific way that Fnatic does it with players roaming so close to each other, it often works really well. But it was read into greatly by Mindfreak, and whether that was just a plain read by Kings or whether that was on the back of a drone, regardless, it was a really great job for him because not only did he get the first one, he got both of them and he didn't get traded back at all. Really good job from Mindfreak to contain those roamers from Fnatic.
Indeed. Now with us sitting 4 apiece for both teams, it's definitely on the cards that we might be seeing even something across the lines of a draw here from both of the teams. And if that will be the case, and if Mindfreak managed to draw at the second map, boy oh boy, Fnatic are in a whole bunch of trouble.
Last season, these teams played against each other. They drew the first map that they played, and then the second map they played, Fnatic stole the show 7-1. Looking at the upcoming matches for these teams, let's say spotlight on Fnatic, who I think we expect them to make APAC finals. If they make it to APAC finals, they qualify not only for, well, they qualify for APAC finals, and then ideally they make it to Tokoname, top 2 at APAC finals, then they qualify for Invitational. They qualify for the next 2 major events. That's what Fnatic always do, and that's what they want to do so badly.
Oh, yeah.
And if they lose here to Mindfreak,
that's gonna
even
be
if they drop
upset.
some points just in a loss, and then potentially next week they're coming up against Wildcard, which is the team that's going to take a fight to Fnatic. If they lose here to Mindfreak and then later on to Wildcard, there's a high chance that they won't be able to make it to APAC Finals.
Imagine how much of an upset it's going to be as well, because that will be a first for ANZ as well.
And if Fnatic drop points here to Mindfreak, then them not making it to APAC Finals, that might be out of their hands. But nonetheless, King's makes an entry, and Virtue is very ready to shut that down. It's a Sunrise and Blue Bar defense with this presence upstairs for Virtue.
Yeah, good read for Virtue as well, managing to finally catch the Zofia player of Mindfreak off guard. And the double roam, like you mentioned before, pays off, because there was Lusty who was making some noise up and around on the east side, well, southeast side of Coastline. Then you had Virtue ready, just about ready to peek out and frag out.
That top floor control has been taken though by Mindfreak now, flushing out these key positions inside of Sunrise on the bar, but Magnet still in quite an aggressive position here. Right on near the sauna. Spec is also running around in Sunrise.
Ooh.
Good C4 kill. Cutie off the board. 2 early picks for Fnatic. That's going to allow them the numbers advantage. A lot of liberties that they'll be gained by that. Especially on their defense.
That does. Look at how much damage it dealt to Magnet. If Shaq just dedicated another grenade, he could have actually been able to out the smoke player of Fnatic, but it's not the case. Jack Daddy will be instead finishing off Virtue, so this potentially could be a good start. But 30 seconds left for Mindfreak's attack. Things might not work out that well because they're not even close right now to the actual site, or at least within the closest vicinity.
And there's no time remaining here. 20 seconds. Shaq doesn't know what he wants to do. Where is the collapse onto the site? Magnet is still in such an aggressive position, and Mindfreak might not be aware of that. Where's the plant going to go down? Shaq, you have the diffuser, and there's no time. This is exactly when Magnet needs to make this play, but he gets taken down. Still, surely there's no time for Mindfreak to get this plant down. Lots of kills coming out, but surely this isn't going to happen. The plant started here, and it's all up to Lusty to clutch it, covering this diffuser, and Mindfreak get the round again. Ippy style, saving his teammate the last second.
That was legitimately on the last bits of HP and seconds as well. My goodness, Mindfreak managing to just pull it out literally out of thin air. Wow.
That's... no way that happens. 22 seconds left, and Shaq is still upstairs looking through holes. He has the diffuser. He doesn't really have the liberty of going down blue stairs because of all the control Fnatic still have. And Mindfreak at a numbers disadvantage. They still make that work. Never. You never see that.
Especially when it's when they're versing Fnatic as well.
Yeah.
You would think somebody like, say, I don't know, Fury, Cryptic, or Sinister, or even Oddity for that matter, like those teams, yeah, you would kind of think that could possibly happen. But when you're versing, say, Fnatic or even Wildcard, that should not happen. Fnatic, out of all the teams within ANZ, are probably one of the most organized ones and have the most time to essentially perfect their craft of
and their individual plays.
And their individual play,
individually, they're very talented players who can spend a lot of time dedicated to practice because this is their full-time job. And not many players in ANZ can say that.
Yeah, well, now a Wildcard can.
Exactly.
Which I'm so excited for that. I'm excited for just the nearest future for that team, but we'll be getting to that somewhat soon.
There is a possibility here for Fnatic to still get their 3 points with this game if they win the next 3 rounds. But if they drop any more, say goodbye to 2 of those points. Maximum you can do is a draw, which gets you 1 point. Or Mindfreak take the map, and Fnatic walk away with nothing. And they'll put their hopes and dreams onto map number 2 against Mindfreak if they want to come away with any points this week. We want to emphasize, Fnatic really, they are given so much support. They need to they need to make sure that they make every single APAC land and they make it to those global events.
Funny thing is, Fnatic are currently sitting on a single loss, and that was from Fury on Cafe. If this could go through, this will be a second loss, and this will be the second time, well, one of the few times when we see actually Fnatic not to go flawless. Currently, it is a Wildcard that is actually going flawless. 5 wins and 0 losses with 1 draw, whereas Fnatic is 4 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss, and that's not a good performance, at least on the measurements that is coming from Fnatic.
Fnatic put a lot of their focus onto those international events, but recently a bit of a disappointing performance at Raleigh with the going out in groups without being able to take a victory of FaZe or Dark Zero. They came back, though, at 6 Masters. They had such a good performance. They did so well against August. But that said, so did Mindfreak. Mindfreak played so well at the 6 Masters. They look to be a team rejuvenated.
Oh, yeah. So both of those teams completely rejuvenated, potentially having one of their best currently setups and plays. But it seems that Mindfreak currently pulling away. They do have that single round buffer. So if Mindfreak do manage to catch some plays off guard, which so far seem to have worked out for a few rounds, they might be able to continue their streak, really. And what is interesting to me here right now is Mindfreak already took full control of the top floor.
Good.
Not a single contestation.
Control. Yeah, no contest from Fnatic so far. No, Fnatic like to move more further away from the push that Mindfreak rather, do start to take, and they go for those retakes. But even with the numbers advantage last round, Mindfreak weren't able to collapse onto the side.
There is a C4 as well prepped, so right now a well-timed C4 could actually end Shaq's run as well. There's the C4 from Speka to kick things off, and will be able to catch Curio off guard. So 5v3 right now. Nomad and Twitch off the board, so right now Kings need to pop things off once again. He needs to be that star player one more time, and right now to deny Fnatic some more frags, but just won't happen at all. Rizraz will be the one to pump Feelies away.
It's a 2 versus 5 now. We've seen Mindfreak pull something out of nothing in the past, but this is very unlikely to happen, especially with Magnet preventing Shaq entry. Jackdad will find one, but Shaq's the last one left. 1 HP, barely a dream to speak of, and he's just going to look for exit frags at the moment. Really doesn't mean anything. Mindfreak have collapsed and fallen apart on this round. Magnet will even claim the last one. So Fnatic do get back in the game. They even us up at 5-5.
5-5 indeed, and yeah, like you said, Fnatic managed to adjust very well and very seamlessly, really, especially after that 2-round streak loss that they had, seeming to be still working out quite well. The tilt didn't really get to them at all after that round, which actually granted Mindfreak their 5th point.
Yeah, I don't want to jump to conclusions. We were talking about Fnatic saying, they really need to make this APAC land. They could lose here to Mindfreak. Not going to jump to conclusions. Just reminding you of the stakes that are at stake for Fnatic.
Yeah.
This is a big deal that they want to make sure they make these APAC lands, because they want to be coming 1st and 2nd at these APAC lands so they can qualify for Tokoname. It also then qualifies them for the following LAN event as well. It's so important to come top 2 in your region, not just the sub-region, but in your region. And Fnatic really have their eyes on that every season, in and out. They can't drop rounds here can't drop maps here to Mindfreak, especially when they have a serious challenge of wildcard next week. Fnatic need to make sure they can retain that top 2 spot in ANZ.
Certainly do, but it all starts here on the matchup against Mindfreak, really. And so far, we potentially only have 2 rounds remaining, really. Well, not potentially, we do have only 2 rounds remaining.
Yeah, that's right. This is breakaway point.
Yeah, this is breakaway point.
One of these teams is going to guarantee themselves at least the 1 point in this round.
Yeah.
And deny the other team from getting those triple points in the victory. Fnatic really have got to have their eyes on the 3 points here. They've got to take this win. If you let too many more draws slip in, like if you draw here to Mindfreak, and your next opponents for the rest of the season, Wildcard and Sinister, if you start dropping any more of those rounds, especially if Oddity starts to really step up, Oddity and Wildcard could be the ones going to APAC finals if Fnatic let too many of these rounds slip away and start to get those draws settling in. Because, to remind you, Fnatic are currently 4th in the standings.
Yeah, and Mindfreak are currently 3rd as well, which usually, when you look at it without any context, that would be like absolutely absurd. We're so used to seeing Fnatic 1st or 2nd place, Wildcard 1st and 2nd place, and then you have Oddity, Mindfreak, and then the rest of the Pro League, really. So it's definitely, even with the lack of matches for some of the teams, it's bizarre, at least to me.
Still, of course, Fnatic have 3 games left if you include this one. 3 opponents left, rather. Each one they'll play 2 best-of-ones against. Whereas Mindfreak and Oddity have played an extra game on Fnatic and Wildcard. But of course, this is breakaway point. This is where one of these teams will guarantee themselves the single point after this game.
I like the fact that that Mindfreak brought in a Lion as well, because they know that there's going to be a whole lot of very aggressive plays once the planting will potentially start going down. So they will need to get as much of that info as possible. But it seems that MF not being able to get any closure,
nice.
and it seems that Rizraz will be able to find it straight away with a shotgun as well from above.
Good job from Rizraz to deny that Buck player, and a second frag here for Fnatic. They have that man advantage that they also need, and Mindfreak haven't dislodged these key positions that they set out to kill. Cutie as well dealing trouble from below, and so difficult for Mindfreak to retake from this position. Just Jack Dad left. He's pretty good, but you got to be even better than that in order to make this work. 1 versus 5. We've seen him clutch before. He did it against Wildcard in the Six Masters, but I don't think this is going to happen, Cthulhu.
Certainly doesn't look like it, and with flawless round, Fnatic will be the ones taking the breakaway point. So they will be guaranteeing themselves at the very least a single point. And the Mindfreak are on the verge of losing all, if not all of those points, really.
Mindfreak have played so well tonight that for them to exit this in a 5-7, that'd sting.
Yeah, that would definitely sting.
If they can grab the 1 point here against Fnatic, that's still something. End it at a tie, and then come into this second game. As a reminder, last season these teams played each other. They tied the first game, and the second game, Fnatic won 7-1. I do have an inkling, I have a feeling that when we get into map 2, Fnatic will come out swinging. They'll have had a bit more time to understand what Mindfreak are doing, a little bit more time to adapt, and they will do better. So I really feel like Mindfreak, if they want to get any points on the board tonight, they need to do it here, because I feel like it's less likely they're going to do that on map 2 once Fnatic have warmed up to them.
It certainly could be the case. Fnatic pulled that kind of play on a fair few teams, and this is definitely a very good observation point as well, Dev. Because Fnatic is known to, yeah, they might be lacking on a few rounds, but they are known to also come back with a very hefty amount of force. And just that, looking at that scoreboard as well, 3 players of Fnatic already on double digits.
10 seconds to go.
Yeah, Fnatic have stepping up so far.
5 seconds left.
Of course, this is the final round of the game. We do not have overtime here in the ANZ Pro League for the online group stage. It's not really a group stage. The online play days where we have the double round robin, there's no overtime. A draw is 1 point, and that's what Mindfreak will be gunning for at the moment. After this game, Mindfreak, Fnatic, we will have another Mindfreak Fnatic game. They'll choose, we'll have it start again, new ban veto phase, 1 more best of 1. And then, of course, later tonight, it is Wildcard versus Oddity. But first up, we have Fnatic and Mindfreak to get through.
It certainly looks like it, as Mindfreak are just about to start potentially going for that push. Not a single contact has been made, at least yet, with a minute to go. And so far, Style will be the one to drone things out. Fortunately, nothing just yet.
Looks like we may well have a rehost, however, due to a call. So obviously we're coming up against Fnatic here. And Fnatic certainly want to be closing this game out with the 3 points, because they have Wildcard next week, which is going to be an even bigger challenge to come up against.
Certainly is, and we will be seeing Kitchen and Service entrance, interestingly enough, to come out from Fnatic's defense, which I do believe was not that well executed as of recently from Fnatic. So this could be the redemption moment for Mindfreak if they will be able to play their cards right. Right now, they did use Lion on a couple times as initial kind of attempt to use it as a crutch. Didn't exactly work. They weren't able to fully play off it.
Yeah, they brought the Lion when they were attacking Hookah,
Yeah.
but as you mentioned, Mindfreak have won every single attack onto Kitchen so far. Fnatic haven't successfully defended this bomb site yet, so that has to change this round. Fnatic tried to do a bit of a roam upstairs with Specker playing around Theater, and they also had roamers around the security side. When Mindfreak were attacking this, they didn't try to hard push those roamers. They just pushed, they eliminated the site players, and then they held their flanks, and they held their flanks very well.
Yeah, they pushed for that meaningful ground, held the angles, and that's pretty much all that they needed to do to counter any of that roam play.
So if you're Fnatic, what are you going to do to then bounce back away from that and make sure that your roamers can have an impact and won't just get caught by the flank watch?
Well, really, I think that the roam style that you mentioned before, the duo roam, could potentially work out, because that way you can coordinate potentially one drawing the attention, the other one goes in for the push, you get the frag potentially, or at the very least a trade. And that way you could potentially stall out and force Mindfreak, hey, we need to switch around. We need to have, say, a active roam watch.
We actually just saw Magnet from Fnatic rip out a C4. He was essentially testing the C4 throw onto the kitchen window. So if Mindfreak try to plant just in that kitchen window, he can C4 that. He's actually going to potentially even prep the C4 to go on the floor of VIP, which is the ceiling of kitchen, which could take out Shaq nice and early. To eliminate that buck, that would remove a lot of the soft breach potential from Mindfreak.
And even taking care of Itby Style, who's currently on Zafir, who took it from Kings, could definitely hurt quite a lot, because Itby Style so far was not having a fun time whatsoever. But the first E1D to come out should be able to net the kill. There's the kill onto Virtue, but the trade to come out, Speka, nice refrag. So to keep things going right now, so this is still good, but this will be forcing Speka to fall back a little bit, and this is what Fnatic are good. The moment at least one person trades, that's it. Fall back, play default, and play it carefully.
So Fnatic were trying to hold this aggressive upstairs area around the white stairs, but they lost the one player and the second one fell back. Still in a position where Speka can retake. He's playing aggressive on the white stairs. He does have a player just behind him as well. So Jack Daddy's got to be cautious of that position.
Interestingly enough, it is Lusty who's holding the angle. The C4 to come out, but it won't be able to damage at all, so it will be unsuccessful. But it's still minute and 12.
Yeah, I'm not sure I agree with Fnatic going for those aggressive like C4 up through the floor. Because what we really need is C4s to deny the plant when it comes down to that last minute push.
Well, C4 before from below were working out very well for Fnatic, and they were able to deal just enough of that meaningful damage to force Mindfreak off, say, off the plant or off the push from above. So this is right now, this could be the break point here. If Itby Style is able to find the kills from that kitchen window, or at the very least from the kitchen entrance, this could be big.
It'll be very difficult for Mindfreak to plant on the kitchen window because of the entire wall that has been opened by Fnatic. Jack Dad's going to check for utility, but Fnatic have so many roamers, and with these roamers, it'll be so very easy to deny this plant because Jack Dad is so exposed to the courtyard and hallway. Still, this pick for Lusty could mean so much. It's a fight that he doesn't end up winning. Cutie finds that pick onto Speka. There's only 10 seconds left, and Mindfreak have that advantage, but Fnatic have left the site. They vacated. The plant goes down somehow. Mindfreak have 2 players left to hold on. 3 players left for Fnatic. As the diffuser's down, they know they need to retake. Magnet wants to go for this run out. He needs to kill the player on the kitchen window. He's just waiting for the call, waiting for that perfect moment.
Yes, Rizraz right now is the one to push up above, and there's the run out. We'll be able to deal just enough damage, but oh no, Jack Daddy will be going down, and Fnatic will be taking coastline for themselves after a very nicely coordinated push at the end post-plant.
And a great retake for Fnatic allows them that 7-5 victory. Mindfreak gave it a very great effort, but it just wasn't enough. Fnatic always that one step ahead, and they take the full 3 points here in our first game back in the second half of Season 10. Fnatic back in black.
Back in black indeed, and it is currently putting them right under, I believe, Oddity. Or better yet, actually, this would be putting them